Problem 41 reads, in the figure shown below, each pair of intersecting line segments meets at a right angle, and all the lengths are given in inches. What is the perimeter in inches of the figure? So a couple of important clues here. It says that all intersecting line segments meet at a right angle. That's important because then we can make assumptions that otherwise we couldn't. And then all the lengths are given in inches. So we know that we don't need to worry about units, they're all inches. Now, if they want the perimeter, remember the perimeter means if you were to walk all around this shape, how many inches, what's the distance that you would travel? So we want to know all of this perimeter. To know that, we need to know the measurements of all sides. So let's start with this one. We know it's given, it's 5 inches. This one is 2 inches, this one is 4 inches. This one, we don't know. This one is 3 inches, this is 4 inches. We don't know this one. We know this one's 4, we don't know this one, and we know this one's 14. So notice how we essentially need to figure out these sides. Once we know the measurement of those 3 sides, then we can figure out what the sum of all the sides is going to be. We can start by adding, by the way, 14 plus 5 plus 2 plus 4 plus 3 plus 4 and finally plus 4. So we can add all of the given segments. So this is 19, 21, 25, 28, 32, 36. So far we have 36 inches in terms of the perimeter. That automatically means that A and B is incorrect. So, that's a good way of eliminating nonsensical choices. If you're running out of time, then you would just pick, one of the other ones. Anyways, that's not the case here. This is a simple problem. How do we figure out those 3 unknown side segments? Well, let's see. The first thing that I will do here is let's try to figure out this distance right here. This distance. So we know that from here to here we have 14 inches. Now, because everything is a right angle, all of these are right angles, all of them, I can make the following assumption. If this is 2, and this is 4, and this is 4, that gives me 2 plus 4 plus 4, which is 10 inches. But I know that this entire segment measures 14. So the difference is a measurement of this unknown value. In other words, 4 inches. Take a look. 2 plus 4 would be 6, plus 4 would be 10, plus 4 would be 14. Yes, the measurement of that entire side. Now that I know that one, I can add it to the list. So now I'm at 40 inches. I still need to figure out the measurement of this side right here and of this side right here. Now, how do I do that? Well, let's see. This side measures 5, this side measures 4, this side measures 3. And that's the sum, that's the entire side. So I don't really need to know what each of these sides measures to solve this. I just need to know what the total of those 2 measure, which is the entire side. So if I add 5 plus 4 plus 3, I get the measurement of that side. 5 and 4 is 9, and 3 is 12, so this is 12. So this is 12. So the 2 sides that I don't know what they measure, measure in total, in sum, 12 inches. So now from the 40 inches I already had, I add 12 more inches, giving me a total of 52 inches. Choice D. Notice that I was never really able to figure out what each of these sides measures. And I don't need to. All I needed to know was what was the entire length of that right side. For problem 42, it reads, of the 517 graduating seniors at Brighton High School, approximately 4/5 will be attending college, and approximately half of those going to college will be attending a state college. Which of the following is the closest estimate of the number of graduating seniors who will be attending a state college? So at this high school, we have a total of 517 graduating seniors. Of those, approximately 4/5 will be attending college. So if we multiply the number of seniors times 4/5, we will know how many of the seniors will be attending college. You can key that into your TI. Just be very careful how you enter that. Anyways, 517 times 4/5 is equal to 413.6. So approximately 413.6 seniors will be attending college. Next, it says that of those attending college, approximately half of them will be going to state college. They want us to know how many seniors will be going to a state college. So now we take the 413.6, that's the number of seniors out of the total that will be going to college, multiply that times 1/2, or times 50%, or times 0.5, they're all equivalent. Just depends on, depending on what you use, you have to know how to key that into the calculator. In this case, we simply multiply 413.6 times 0.5, or times 1/2, and we get a total of 206.8. Now, we look at our choices here. Choice F, 170, there's a better choice, choice G. Choice H is 260, too much, so H, J, and K are out of the picture. F, so G is the correct answer here. They are problem 42, we have 517 graduating students, and 4/5 will be going to college, according to the problem. So times, open a parentheses, 4/5. No need to use fractions here. Simply enter the fraction inside a parentheses. That's the recommended way of doing this. You get 413.6 students. Keep that, even though there's no such thing as 0.6 of a student, but we keep that figure, and we know that half approximately of those will be going to state college. So times, see the answer, it's that one, times 1/2. 1/2, expressed like this, and you get 206.8. And given the choices, choice G is correct, 200. For problem 43, it reads, let x operation y is equal to x minus 2y everything squared for all integers x and y. Which of the following is the value of 5 operation -3? So this is just a substitution prompt. You have x and then this weird operator here. And we know that this is computed by doing x minus 2y close parentheses squared. So if they're asking for 5, weird operator, parentheses -3, and we need to know what this is equal to, essentially we can see that x is equal to 5, y is equal to -3, so we need to be able to plug these two values into the corresponding section here, and then just the compute. So we end up with big parentheses, x, we know it's 5. We can use a parentheses if we like, every time we plug in. That's a very disciplined way of getting the right answer every time. Minus 2, so let's open a parentheses for our y value, which is -3, close that. Now notice that I'm making these parentheses much bigger than these because it helps me visually see the grouping order. So these are matching, this is one and this is the other, okay? So it just helps when you're doing algebra to use different sized grouping symbols to keep everything in track. All right, so this parenthesis set for the 5 is not really necessary, so big parentheses, 5, then subtract, minus. Now how much is 2 times -3? Well, 2 times -3 is -6. So in parentheses, I put -6, close and close the big parentheses and square. If you're wondering why I'm solving the inside of this big parentheses before doing the power, remember the order of operations, PEMDAS. And remember that you always group MD and you always group AS, and you solve those from left to right, depending on how they appear on the expression. You always do grouping symbols first. So I'm trying to simplify the inside of this major grouping symbol, which is what we're doing over here. Only then can we move on to exponents and then figure this out. Okay, so let's continue. Let me erase this so we have a little bit of room. The next step is to do to simplify this. So when you subtract the negative, you're adding. So this becomes 5 plus 6, close parentheses, squared. And that is equal to, well, 5 plus 6 is 11, so 11 squared, which is, of course, equal to 121, which is choice A. Just be careful how you enter things into the calculator. If you want the calculator to solve this for you, as opposed to doing it like I did it, you can, but just make sure that you watch how this should be done. Problem 43, we would need to do first plug in the 5 for x and the negative 3 for y. So you have an expression that reads x minus 2y. So 5 for x minus 2, open a parenthesis for the negative value of negative 3. Now that gives you 11. That means that 11 will be squared. So if you square the answer like this, press just square and it'll take the answer automatically, and then because you're choosing the square option, it'll show it being squared. 11 times 11, 121, which is choice A. For problem 44, it reads, if 125% of a number is 425, what is 65% of that number? Okay, so let's figure this out. We have a number, let's call it x. If we take 125% of that number x, we know we'll get 425. That's what this is saying. So, how do you know what 125% of a number is? You simply multiply that number times 1.25. What I'm doing here is 125% is equal to 125 for every 100. Now, if you do this on the calculator, you're going to get 1.25. So this is the number you would actually use to compute it. If you enter into your calculator 125 and you don't realize that this is a percentage, and you multiply, say, x times 125, then you're not converting the percentage into a regular number in its decimal representation. So be careful with that. Okay, so the expression reads x times 1.25 is equal to 425. Now I can solve for x and figure out what the number is equal to. So to solve for x, you simply realize this is multiplying, so you want to get this out of the way, dividing. So x is equal to 425 divided by 1.25. So on your calculator, if you do 425 divided by 1.25, you get 340. Now you know what x is equal to, 340. And if you're a bit confused by that, again, take this number and find if 125% of it is in fact equal to 425. To do that, you would multiply 340 times 1.25. And of course, it'll be equal to 425. Now we go to the next step. The next step is to figure out what 65% of the number is. Be careful, because a lot of people would pick k at this point, but that's wrong. That's the value of x. It's not 65% of number x. So to figure out what 65% of x is, you're multiplying x times 65%. Now 65% is equal to 65 divided by 100, which is of course equal to 0.65. So you want to know what this is, but you already know what x is. So you need to multiply 340 times 0.65, which is equal to 221, the correct response, which is 44. We would say x times 1.25 is equal to 425. So x is equal to 425 divided by 1.25, the 125%. So the number x is 340. But the problem is not what is a number x, which in this case is 340. Careful, because there's a choice k there with 340. Don't make that mistake. You still have to figure out 65% of 340. So you do that by multiplying 340. I could have pressed times, and it would have written answer here, but 340 times 65%, that's 0.65. Remember, you have to convert percentages to their decimal counterparts by shifting the decimal point 2 places to the left, always. So 65% is 0.65. We multiply, we get our answer of 221, which is choice F.